So this morning I'm going to discuss Jeremiah 23, and I'll go through its entirety, I believe. I'm also going to go through different scriptures as well, but I want to focus on, my main focus is going to be on verse 27 of Jeremiah 23. Now, he is speaking to specifically the people of Israel in this case, okay? Now, so the prophets of Israel, this verse 25 says, I have heard what the prophets said. They prophesy lies. Now, King James says, in my name. But really? Is that true? Let's continue. Saying, I have dreamed, or I have dreamed a dream, or I have a dream. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? They are spokesmen or prophets of deceit that comes out of their own heart. And they think to cause my people to forget my name. To forget my name. So clearly they are not prophesying in his name at all. Sound familiar? It should. If you are aware of the truth, it should. If you are not aware of the truth, I'm going to show you the truth today. That when they prophesy in another name, they preach lies. It's all lies from the very top to the very bottom. Let me read it again. I heard what the prophets say, that prophesy lies not in Yehovah's name. No, we just read that they forget his name. So they're not prophesying in his name. What name are they prophesying in? Which tell every man to his neighbor and their fathers, they have forgotten my name for Baal. Who was Baal? A Gentile idol. A Phoenician deity. Now the Phoenicians were Canaanites. All right. Let's find out who Baal was. All right. Who was Baal? The Canaanites worship Baal as the sun idol and as the storm idol. He is usually depicted holding a lightning bolt. Who else holds a lightning bolt? Those of you who know Greek mythology know that it is Zeus. All right. He is thought by many scholars to be a Canaanite version of the Babylonian god Marduk, and identical with the Assyrian deity Hadad. The worship of Baal was prevalent in Canaan from ancient times prior to the Israelite exodus from Egypt until well after the Babylonian exile in the 6th century. Baal worship was violently opposed by the biblical prophets and several kings of Yehudah who believed it was not God's will, but it was Yehovah's will that Canaanite religion be completely eliminated from Yehuda and Israel. Among Baal's titles were Rider of the Clouds, Almighty, and Lord of the Earth. He was also the god of both fertility and thunderstorm, as well as a mighty warrior, sometimes a sun idol, sun god, and protector of crops and livestock. Well, we know he is a sun god. Now, I've gone over this many, many times before. Even modern day Christianity recognizes Jesus Christos or Jesus Christos as the sun idol. They even have a picture in the background of his image with the sun, the circle. You can read Jesus, known as the personal name of the Celtic Druids' sun savior, associated to Jupiter or Zeus. Jesus, born on December the 25th. Oh, well, hold on. They were the priestly tribe. The Druids were the priestly tribe of the Celtic Gaul in the present day Germany, England, France, and some parts of Scandinavian countries. That would be the Goths. Jesus was born on December the 25th, 834 BCE. That would be 800, approximately 800 years before the real Messiah was born. Okay? By the Virgin Mother Mayence, fathered by Gut, the sun deity. All right, so you call your so-called Father in heaven, you call him God, you say. And right here it says by Gut, the sun deity. That would mean that Gut would also be associated with Baal. Now let's see what Yehovah has to say about Baal worship, but before we do that, we must go to Romans 2, verse 9. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that does evil, of the Jew first, and also of the what? The Hellene. Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean? Well, it means Greek, right? Let's dig a little deeper. Now we have number 1, which is a Greek by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or Greek island or colonies. Okay, that's Greek. Number 2, in a wider sense, the name embraces all the nations that are not Jewish that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. Well, that sounds like Western civilization, doesn't it? Because didn't Western civilization incorporate the Greek ways, the Greek language, and Greek studies into their own? Yes, they did. Those of you who are scholars, those of you who are highly educated, you know this. And I had another one up, but it doesn't really it doesn't really matter. I had another so what I'm going to do now, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to go back to But here, and I'm going to do the whole chapter, but I'm going to start with the lying prophets first. Remember what Paul said, tribulation and anguish upon all the souls of men who do evil, to the Jew first, and then also to the Gentile, to the Greek, to the Hellene, to Western civilization. My heart is broken within me because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunk man, like a man whose wine has overcome him. Because Yehovah and because of the words of his holiness. You see, because Jehovah's words are like fire and lies are like chaff. You Christians, y'all, you need to understand that. He's not going to tolerate lies. He just isn't. Because the land is full of adulterers, and this is in the land of ancient Israel. Remember, tribulation and anguish unto all the souls of men, to the Jew first, and also to the Hellenes, Western civilization. Because of swearing the land mourns, the pleasant places of the wilderness is dried up, their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both the prophet and the priest, they are profane. In my house I have found their wickedness, says who? The Lord? Does it say God? No, it says Yehovah. Their way is slippery, and there are the ways of darkness. They drive on, and then they fall. I will bring calamity, not evil, calamity or adversity upon them in a particular year of their visitation. Well, we know what year of visitation that was. There was a year of visitation for the house of Israel that were taken into captivity by Assyria. There was another year of visitation upon the Jews, Jerusalem. The first visitation upon Jerusalem was King Nebuchadnezzar, and the second visitation was the Roman invasion by Vespasian and his son Titus. There is no third coming. Because, you see, when they do come to try to invade, they will be destroyed if they come a third time. Okay? So, the year of their visitation, and it was written in the Gospels that the people of Jerusalem did not know the year of their visitation, and that is the reason why the city is going to be torn down. I have seen foolishness in the prophets of Samaria. That would be the lost 10 tribes. And as I said, their year of their visitation was when the king of Assyria came and took Samaria. And those prophets, they prophesied in Baal. Who? Baal, the sun idol. And caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also the prophets of Jerusalem, a horrible thing. They commit adultery, and they walk in lies. They strengthen also the hand of the wicked, and they do not return. Nobody changes from their wickedness. They are all unto me as Sodom and Gomorrah. For this reason, says Yehovah of hosts, concerning those prophets, directing his ire at those prophets who teach false names and cause people to do evil. I will feed them with wormwood. I will make them drink the water of gall. And of course, there are plagues coming that the 2 witnesses are going to bring, that is going to cause everyone, all the Gentiles, to drink the water of gall and blood. For the prophets of Jerusalem, they are profane, and they proceed forth into all the land. Here says Yehovah of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you in vain. They speak a vision out of their own heart and not out of the mouth of Yehovah. They don't read the words of Yehovah. They reject the words of the prophets. They come up with their own ideology. They come up with their own narrative. They say, those that speak, they despise me. Yehovah has said, they say, Yehovah has said there shall be peace. And they say everyone that walks after their own after the imagination of their own heart, no calamity, no adversity shall come upon you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yehovah, and has perceived and heard his word? And who marks his word and heard it? A whirlwind of Yehovah is going forth in fury, a grievous whirlwind, and it shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. We've read about that in Zechariah 9, that the trumpet is going to sound when the whirlwinds of Yemen, the storm of Yemen. The anger of Yehovah will not return until he has executed, until he has performed the thoughts of his hearts. In the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. And it did. It did. It happened to Samaria. It happened to Jerusalem twice. But no more, no third time for Jerusalem. Remember, tribulation and anguish to all the souls of men who do evil, to the Jew first, and also to the Hellene, Western civilization. I did not send these prophets, but they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. They have stood in my counsel and caused my people to hear words. They should have, or it says, and turned. You probably should read, they should have stood in my counsel and caused my people to hear my words and turn them from their evil way and from their evil doings. It does not say I am God. It says I am Elohim. He is not Baal, says Yehovah. Elohim from a distance. Can anyone hide himself in secret places that I will not see him? Do I not fill heaven and earth, says Yehovah? I have heard what the prophets say, and the prophets, they speak lies in a name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yes, they are prophets of deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. They have exchanged his name for Baal. All of these false names, Zeus, God, Jesus, they're all associated with the sun idol of the Gentiles. Now, let's go to Jonah 14:30. Look at Strong's Concordance. Verse 30, hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world is coming, and has nothing in me. Who is the prince of this world? Well, Who do the majority of the people prefer to call their prince? Let's go look at some statistics, shall we? Before we do that, what do the Christians view as their prince? Well, Jesus. Who is the majority religion in this world? Christianity is the majority religion in this world. Therefore, the prince of this world is Jesus. And if Jesus is the prince of this world, then Yehoshua has nothing in Jesus. And we read what happened to the people of Israel because they called upon the name of what the Western people say as God or Gut. All right? So I'll continue. Verse 33, when this people or the prophet or a priest shall ask you, saying, what is the Messiah of Yehovah? Then you shall say unto them, Messiah? Now, here's the thing, folks. This is Hebrew, and it is expressed in a way that English people do not understand. But when we get to the middle of this little section right here, it will be very obvious the reason why he is angry for them saying, what is the Messiah or the burden of Yehovah? He says, I will forsake you, says Yehovah. The prophet, the priest, and the people that will say, Messiah of Yehovah, I will punish that man in his house. Why? Well, it makes no sense to the English speaker. If we just continue reading, it'll make perfect sense. Thus shall you say, every one to his neighbor and every one to his father. Yehovah testifies. What has Yehovah spoken? Oh, don't ask what the burden, what the Messiah of Yehovah is. No, you say, what has he spoken? Well, all his spoken words are in the prophets. You know, the scripts that the Christians rejected because they call it the Old Testament. And they say that the Old Testament is done away. So the Messiah of Yehovah you will mention no more. For every man's word shall be his own burden. Why? Because he has perverted the words of the living Elohim, Yehovah of hosts, Elohim. You do not say, what is the burden of Yehovah? Of course, it's something that English people don't say, but you are supposed to say, what did Yehovah say? You're not supposed to say, what did God say? Because if you are saying that, you are referring to Baal. I just showed it to you, folks. I just showed it to you. Thus you shall say unto the prophet, what has Yehovah answered you? And what did Yehovah speak? But you Christians, you don't want to know what Yehovah spoke. You rejected all of that. And because you did, it is the same as saying, what is the burden of Jehovah? But since you say the burden of Jehovah, or since you rejected this kind of speech, what did Yehovah say? Because you say this word, the burden of Jehovah, and I have sent unto you, saying, you shall not say any other thing except what did Jehovah say? I will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you, and the city that I gave to you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence, and I will make you an age-long, not everlasting, but an age-long, long duration reproach upon you, and age-long shame, which it says to forget, but the King James says shall not be forgotten. Now we go to the above part, and I'm warning you Christians. I told you that Gut is associated with Baal. I did. I told you that Zeus was associated with Baal. I showed it to you. I told you that Jesus, Jesus Christos, was associated with Baal, the sun god, Baal. And you saw what happened to the people of Israel when they forgot the name of Yehovah and replaced it with the name of the sun god, and so did you, Christian. You did the same thing. And what did Paul say? Tribulation and anguish to every soul of man that does evil, to the Jew first and also to the Gentile. Well, the tribulation and anguish came to the Jew, and it came to the Jew twice. Now, verse 1 of the same chapter. Woe be to the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says not the Lord, not God, but Yehovah. For this reason, says Yehovah Elohim of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people, you have scattered my flock and driven them away. You have not visited them. I will visit upon you all the evil of your doing, says Yehovah, and I will gather the remainder of my flock out of all the countries, out of all the nations where I have driven them. And I will bring them back into their fold. I will bring them back to the Holy Land. And they shall be fruitful and increase. See, this is the good news. This is the gospel that was initially rejected by the Jews, but now has also been rejected by the Gentiles, making the words of Paul complete. Tribulation and anguish to every soul of man that does evil, to the Jew first, and it happened, and also to the Gentile, and it is about to happen. I will set up shepherds over them, or a shepherd. Break. A shepherd, which shall feed them, and they will shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall be lacking any more, says not the Lord, not God, but Yehovah. See now this takes on bigger meaning, doesn't it? Now that you know the truth. The day comes, says Yehovah, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, or from David a righteous branch. Growth. Now I know that there were those of you who stumbled over, my servant David shall rule over them. It should read Ben David, because as you see right here, branch comes from David, would be Ben David. And a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute justice and judgment upon the land. In his days, Yehudah shall be saved. You can also find that written in Romans 11, verse 26. And the house of Israel shall dwell safely. So that means the house of Judah and the house of Israel. That's the reason why Paul said in Romans 11:26, and so all Israel shall be saved. All the tribes of Israel, including Dan. And this is the name whereby he will be called. Yehovah Tzidkenu. Yehovah Tzidkenu is what they're going to call him. That means Yehovah is righteous. The day is coming, says who? Yehovah. They will no more say, Yehovah lives, which brought us, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt. But Yehovah lives, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and out of all the countries where I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So, you Christians, you think you're going to exchange the name of Yehovah for the sun idol? If the people of Israel and the people of Judah couldn't get away with it, how do you think you're going to get away with it?